I'm sitting here driving in the car, commuting back from a work consultation in media to the main office in Doylestown, and I'm listening. I use this time to listen to podcasts on the film art and the film business lately, because I commute so much, and it's. I feel like I've had a whole film education from podcasts like Frankie Frame's Discount Film School, Business of Film podcast, some of the stuff on Film Stuff podcast, and now most recently a podcast by, I think his name's Scott McMahon, who does Film Trooper. But especially the things that are really low budget, micro budget, backyard indie, DIY, or whatever you want to call it, is what appeals to me, because that's what I do. And it's so interesting. I'm listening to it here, and there's two major competing messages that are coming out of these podcasts. How are people successful? One of the messages is, you don't fucking give up. You have a vision. You need to make art. You need to make a movie. You are almost blinded tunnel vision to getting that project done. And the artist doing that needs to have a unique voice, so they need to be, super confident or super focused on their idea. Otherwise, it's not going to happen. And then the other competing message, which is totally the other, polar opposite, is you need to think of it as a business. You need to understand that there are 1,000 filmmakers making movies this year like yours, and it's not just about a great vision. It's about having a business plan, fitting into a niche, including into your filmmaking process certain hooks that can get you into a certain niche of the market, and listening to what the market wants, finding out what the market wants, what your audience wants, and giving them that, and not necessarily your own independent, instinctual vision. And I'm sitting here, and it's like I go back and forth between the two. Now, I'm much more on the first side of things, where I made this project a dark souvenir that is my vision. I think, it is, fitting the market in a way that it's a low budget, indie, interesting, character driven, feminist to some degrees, horror film that I would want to see. But I made it myself. It's my vision. I didn't go out and do market research and figure out what people wanted. Oh, they want a weird, kind of unique take on Vlad the Impaler Dracula myth that combines, a newlywed couple going on their honeymoon and returning with a haunting. People didn't tell me that. I just came up with this because I was on my honeymoon, and I'm always writing shit in my head, and I was inspired, and I took some footage on this iPhone and another iPhone, and a movie came out of it. A movie project came out of it. But now that I've made it and tried to stick very clear, it's not a really straightforward narrative, conversation every scene. There's some, there's a lot of space. I'm calling it an art house horror. There's lots of room for interpretation. It's not quite A to B to C story, and that's, not what everyone's gonna like. But that's my vision, and I needed to make this movie. But now that it's done, I'm a little late in the game. I did get a social media set up and websites set up to start, finding an audience as I was making it. But I could have done more if I was super confident about what it was going to be at the end. But I didn't, because I did this weird, kind of more improvising artist type way of making it. So now I'm trying to catch up, trying to think about how to market it on no budget or ultra low budget, talking like, whatever I can scrape together, $1,000 for film festival entries and travel and postcards and, I don't know what else, paying Constant Contact as I get together a list, but not much money, basically no budget. And trying to pay attention to the business part of it and the marketing side. But it's just so interesting to think that those two visions are so polar opposite. And I guess it's the vision of an artist and the vision of an entrepreneur are different things. And I think the more that we as artists and artists who want to have our art seen and out in the world and maybe make some money from it, the more that you can get those two things closer together, the better. The more that you can listen to your own vision and say, fuck everyone else, I'm doing this the way I want to do it, but also understand the business ramifications. Think about along the way in your unique vision, what kind of nuggets would you drop in to help with marketing or money making later. I think there needs to be a balance, and I'm trying to learn that balance, and I don't think it's either or. And I think that, any great movie is going to have really intense vision and artistry. And you don't just get that by figuring out what the market wants and putting together a bunch of elements. You need real artistic vision. You need to be a visionary. But for the visionaries out there wanting to have their work seen, I think we need to begin to balance what can we incorporate along the way that doesn't dilute our own view of how the art should be, but will actually help us on the business side of things. So becoming more business savvy, that's what I'm trying to do. So I was just driving here, February 3rd, driving all the way, and I'm thinking about this, so I wanted to share it with people. And I wanted to share those podcasts because I found them really, really helpful and been a whole film education. I didn't go to film school. I majored in film at a college that didn't have very much except for, 2 or 3 professors that taught video, screenwriting, playwriting. And it was fabulous, and it was do it yourself, and I fucking did it. And I think that's part of what, made me who I am today as an artist. But I didn't go to film school. I didn't learn the technique. I didn't, camera technique or things like that. So it's helpful for me to hear, or certainly didn't learn the business end of things. Jeez. So it's helpful for me to have a whole film education in these podcasts that are free, that are awesome, that bring in so many industry professionals and inspiring indie artists that I think it's really useful for folks like me or people interested in filmmaking or film to check out these podcasts. They're really good. Okay. Signing off. Talk to you next time. Check out darksouvenir.com if you haven't already. Thanks.